I've been. Dreams are seeds we plant, my friend. Dusty boots, but a heart of gold. Your story's waiting to be told. Inventive journey, here we go. Through highs and lows, we let it flow. Startups rising, small but shine. Your time is now, your stars align. Cowbell ring and feel the beat. Hustle hard, don't take a seat.
Hey everyone, this is Devin Miller here with another episode of The Inventive Journey. I'm your host, Devin Miller, the serial entrepreneur that's grown several startups into 7- and 8-figure businesses, as well as the founder and CEO of Miller IP Law, where he helps startups and small businesses with their patents and trademarks. If you ever need help with yours, just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat, and we're always here to help. Now, today we've got another great guest on the podcast, Haylee Gernert. And Haylee started her journey, so grew up in North California and went to school to study being a dental assistant. Worked in a dental office and took over as the office manager, or kind of became the problem or the go-to problem solver of the office. And as her boss retired, shifted to working from home, became a virtual assistant, and then from there shifted to being an online business manager and helping other people with their businesses as she worked from home. So with that much as a quick introduction, welcome on the podcast, Haylee.
Hi, Devin. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely excited to have you on and hear your journey. So I just gave just a quick walkthrough to a much longer journey. So why don't we rewind and unpack that a bit and tell us how your journey got started growing up in Northern California and studying to be a dental assistant.
Okay, yeah, I'm happy to share. I'm always an advocate for early education. I noticed when I was in high school, like every senior, that I was like, what am I going to do with after school? And luckily, my high school had some really great programs that students could be doing um, recreational jobs while they're going to school to kind of like guide them what they were going to do after high school. And my high school had something like nursing, medical assistants, dental assisting, you name it, teachers. And I just kind of gravitated towards dental assisting. It was easy and I liked being with people, and the science behind it really was attractive to me. So I enrolled in the dental assisting program and I loved it. And by the time I graduated from high school, I had a job. So unlike a lot of the other students that were graduating, that were going off to college and not making any money, I was making money the first day after graduation, and it was so powerful. Kind of fast forward through 15 years, I did everything from
So
clinical.
we don't want to jump over the 15 years. So no fast forwarding on the podcast. So yeah, maybe walk us through. So you went and did dental school. You came out of that, and kind of what was the next step or phase after coming out of dental school? Kind of where'd you go from there?
Well, I got a job at a dentist. And I worked for 15 years at that dental office, doing everything from clinical chair side assisting to doing office support to doing patient education. Just like through my 15 years there, I did everything. I had the world's best boss. I learned really great problem solving and communication skills, office management. And then along the line, I realized I had a real knack for operations and organization. So much of what I learned while I was being a dental assistant paralleled with life. It was, how to conflict resolution with my coworkers, conflict resolution with patients, how to make people feel comfortable when they're at the dentist, because who likes being there? Nobody. And so a lot of people said I had a knack just for client care. And so when my boss was starting to retire after I had been there for about 8 years, because her retirement plan was a long plan, I just realized even though I really enjoyed it, I had skills that I could use for something bigger. I was also around that time getting married and wanting to become a mom. And so even though dental assisting was really great, I knew I wanted to do something that served a purpose of being a mom, because it was still a 9 to 5 job, right? So it was like I was having to live three lives every day where, wake up, get my kids ready, take them to daycare, go to work, work, and then get home and do evening with my family, and then wake up the next morning and do the same thing. And so I knew I wanted to work from home. And my boss was retiring at the same time. And so even though I was enjoying the job, it just wasn't serving me anymore. And I had to realize that it was an opportunity for growth. And so even while I was working at the dental office, I was spending my evenings searching for what to do from home. I knew I didn't want to sell candles. And so I found virtual assisting. And back then, now it was 7 years ago, it was kind of a people didn't really know what they were doing. I was kind of one of the early virtual assistants. We all had to learn this new way of working together. And then COVID hit.
Just one quick question. So you say you found it. So how did you, I mean, certainly you can appreciate wanting to, taking the opportunity as kind of things that may have transitioned, with your boss and retirement and kind of having that shifting of gears to naturally, gravitate or look to what is the other possibilities. How did you, as you said, found virtual assisting? How did you come about, or how did you find that, or kind of how did you get connected there?
I just Googled it. I just Googled the crap out of everything. How can I make money from home? How can I work from home? What are moms doing now, right? And I knew what I didn't want to do. So it weeded out a lot of things, right? And then I just started seeing people so office managers that I was at the dental office, a lot of people can recognize what that title is. And then a lot of people recognize what an executive assistant is, right? And so then we realized that when COVID hit, all these executive assistants were working from home and were relabeled as virtual assistants. So even though I started to see executive assisting working remotely, right? That's kind of what the infancy of a virtual assistant was. And then when COVID hit, it was bam, virtual assistants were now on in the world, right? And it was really just all these operational managers and executive assistants that were now working remotely and relabeled as a virtual assistant and being empowered to take their careers by the reins and do what they wanted to do instead of being employed. A lot of moms came back into the workforce, finding space in the virtual world, as I like to call it. And from there, it was really interesting to see how virtual assistants were working in COVID. Some were working with agencies because agencies were popping up now because somebody was smart enough to say, "Hey, let's build this. Let's get a group together and we can all, collaborate and make money off of each other." Agencies are wonderful. I love them. I've worked with them. And then there was a handful of us that said, "You know what? I'm going to go rogue and do this on my own." And I did both. I was working with an agency, I was working on my own, and I was starting to make connections and make relationships with other moms or other workforce, virtual workforce people. And before we knew it, just all these other types of jobs were popping up because everybody's skills were being tested. Everybody's talents were being shined. And it was okay, we have virtual assistants. And then we have people that are higher, up-leveled, elevated virtual assistants that really have a knack for higher level strategic thinking, like online business managers. And that's kind of what I grew into. But I still love virtual assistants. They are great at what they do. I highly recommend it if somebody wants to start working from home. And also, there's countless ways to work virtually now. There's graphic designers, there's social media managers, there's tech support, you name it, you can find a job online these days. And I actually have a 10-step guide that I created on how to start working as a virtual freelancer tomorrow. It's kind of like a quick entrepreneurial PDF that I love sharing with people that want to know what I do now and how they can do it too. Because I find that it's not so much being a VA or being an OBM or being a podcast host or anything like that. It's virtual freelancing. We're all freelancers. We're all doing what we want to do, making money, invoicing, billing, but it's time, it's service, it's time. And so I'm finding that when people want to know what I do and what my journey has been, I kind of say my journey went from working as an employee to working as a virtual freelancer. And I do online business management as a virtual freelancer. And I'm really excited to share that I am always changing and always figuring it out. I'm always doing something different. I'm always opening up new ways for clients to work with me. And I love sharing other virtual assistants and other OBMs and other social media managers because there's enough work out there for all of us. And we all have our talents and we all have our skills and we all have our strengths. And I love sharing what I know. Powerful when we are working virtually to still be making those connections, to still be showing up and having conversations. Because when we all connect, we all can share what we know and we all can share our journeys and we can all, find that connection in the virtual place. So many people feel like I'm alone at home working by myself. And sometimes I feel like I'm more social than my husband who has a day job.
Now, maybe just one follow up, and you probably touched on it, but maybe just expand. So, I mean, you mentioned kind of, hey, at the one point you're working freelance for others, and then you started to kind of shift or transition to kind of running your own thing now and providing those services more directly. How did you kind of make that shift or transition? Was that just, hey, I eventually have enough work to be self-sustaining and not, kind of relying on the agencies or others to feed the work, or was that more of an intentional thing, or taking the leap, or some combination of both, or kind of how did you make that transition?
A great question. And it really was a combination. When you are in the virtual world and you're working along, it's so easy to just become a little complacent and that you're like, I'm just getting paid, I'm getting paid, I'm doing what I'm doing. But I think as a business owner, because you realize you are a business owner, you have to make changes. You have to grow. You have to do more. You have to raise your rates. You have to change the way you work based on your life. And so I realized I had been when I was a baby VA, I was happy as a baby VA, learning a lot of things. But then I started to realize that a lot of my clients noticed that I was a lot more proactive than the next VA, or I was designing things on a different level than the other VAs. And I had an amazing, I call her my fairy godmother, had an amazing mentor that was like, you know what, you're a little bit different than the other VAs. And she was the one that said, you should try seeing if you could do more and bill more and work more. And that kind of planted a seed with me. So even though I was working at the agency, I started having conversations with my clients saying, yes, I'm doing these calendaring and these inboxing and these virtual assistant tasks, but I also do all these other things. And they were like, oh, I didn't know you did that. And that's where it was born that I wanted to do more and I could do more. And so it was a slow transition though. It's not something that just the next day you start, raising your rates and working more. It was slow, but it was definitely a combination of acknowledging that I could do more, having the support to do more, and then just having the drive to make it happen. And so along the line, I also challenged the agency that I was working with that I wanted to be paid more because that was powerful. I also felt that um, a little inside tip when you're working for a virtual assistant agency, the house has to bill a certain amount over what they pay you because that's how a business works, that's how an agency works. And the clients are paying X amount, but you're only taking home B amount, right? And so sometimes there was a little bit of an edginess between what they're expecting, what they're getting, what they're paying for, and what the virtual assistant is making and delivering. And I noticed that. And I was like, they're not getting what they're paying for because I'm not providing what I'm getting paid for. And I acknowledged that. And I challenged and I was a little bit of a disruptor in saying, this doesn't make sense for me. And so my time here is up. And I left the agency and I started my own business because I wanted to have full control of what I'm delivering and that my clients are going to get the value out of what I'm providing. And so it was with a lot of support that I left the agency and went out on my own. But I will still say, if you want to get started in the virtual world, starting an agency is a real safe place because they educate you, they show you how to make it done, they hold your hand, they do a lot of wonderful things. There's a lot of great agencies out there, and I'm a huge fan of the agencies, but just know that you can outgrow it too, and that's okay. And that's what I did.
No, and I mean, now give me an idea as to kind of over or what period of time or how long did that kind of take to play out or to make that transition?
Yeah, I was at the agency for about 4 years in total. And I think around like year two, I was like, oh, like I could do more. And so they are not my boss. They can't tell me what I can't and can do outside of my agreement with them. So I couldn't take my clients from the agency. I couldn't poach their clients, but I could do my own work with clients that are completely unrelated to the agency. And so I worked at the agency, and when I was not working for clients at the agency, I was also doing some lead generation of my own. I was joining online business owning networking groups. I was promoting the heck out of myself on LinkedIn. I was getting into places and spaces and telling what I was doing, and then people wanted to know more. Then I was meeting with them and I was landing clients on my own. By the time I said I was there for 4 years. About 2 years, I started picking up solo clients. At the end of 4 years, I only had one client left at the agency, and they were unhappy. They were moving. They weren't unhappy with me. They were just unhappy with like the agency. They needed an in-person person, so they were going to let me go. And I just thought, now's the time. I'm done. Like it was not personal. It was completely amicable, and it was great. And so I basically said, I want the best for them. And so they needed an in-person executive assistant in their Atlanta office. And so they left and I left, and I then just picked them up and I just ran with my own clients. And it's funny because some of the clients that I worked with at the agency, you can't work with them for 3 years. Like that's the thing. But it's funny how a couple of them have reached out to me, that they're like, we know our 3 years are up. We loved you so much. We'd love to start working with you again. And so they kind of surfaced back, and I've supported some of my clients from my infancy years, and that's been fun too. But yeah, and I'm now doing a lot more niching online work. That's really exciting, and I'm sharing it with the clients that I worked for way in the back, and they're like, oh my gosh, you grew up. And it's like, yes, I did.
Now, kind of with that is a great kind of walkthrough of the journey. Kind of now, if you were to look out in the next 6 to 12 months, kind of looking a bit into the future as to where things are headed, kind of what would you say is kind of that next step or that 6 to 12 month outlook for you?
That's a great question. And I've been asking myself that a lot in the last 2 months because, as we all in the first part of the year, we want to start forecasting what's next, right? What's next for me is continuing to deliver excellent client work to my clients. That's always number one. I have really great clients right now. I have a great client lineup. I have originally I had some bigger plans for the new year when January rolled around. And then my clients shared their big plans with me, and they want to take me with them on their growth journeys. And so things have changed a little bit in the last just couple weeks for me. Originally, I thought that I wanted to take on new clients and do more work and support more clients. But right now, I'm pivoting to being excited to support my existing clients with some bigger projects that are coming up. So doing more projects for my clients is really exciting. And I also am rolling out a new offer for people to work with me. And this is kind of a 2 week audit offer where people that really feel stuck in the weeds of their business and they're doing too many manual tasks and they want to automate their systems a little bit more or be more efficient in their calendars. It's an invitation to work with me so that I can join them in cleaning up their systems and processes and so that they can get 5 hours back a week. So
Awesome. Well,
continuing to work with my clients and, supporting business owners in a smaller capacity, but still just doing what I love doing.
awesome. Well, definitely sounds like a great opportunity. A lot of fun journey yet ahead, and will be fun to watch to see how it plays out. So now, as we kind of caught up to the present day of the journey, and even look into a little bit as to where things are headed, great time to transition to the two questions I always like to ask at the end of each episode. So we'll jump to those now. So the first question I like to ask is, Along your journey, what was the worst business decision you ever made? What'd you learn from it?
Oh, there was a couple. I would say the worst one was accepting disrespect from clients because I felt like I had to. That was bad. That was bad. Not speaking up, not advocating for myself that, you know, I'm a human too. Even though we're all working virtual, I'm not a robot. And what was the second part of that question? You
Just
said
what
what?
did you learn from it? So yeah,
Oh,
what was the biggest mistake? What
yeah,
did you learn from it?
that my value is here and I am really great at what I do and to just not accept disrespect from clients because they don't see the value in my work.
No, I think that, that one's sometimes when you're getting, early on or initially going, sometimes it's easier just to put up with it or saying, hey, I need the income or I need the money or I need X, Y, and Z. And so, you'll kind of make an exception or, put up with something more. One of the things that I found is, it's certainly freeing at the point in business when you can fire clients. Not that you want to go around firing clients and not that that's the intent, but more so the sentiment is, hey, if these are ones where they don't appreciate the work or are continually being the headache or continually having the hassle factor, it is, much more a nice place to be when you're saying I get to choose who I want to work with and what that structures and that setup is, which kind of provides that freedom and flexibility that I think a lot of times people are looking for, as they're doing their own business. So I think that's a great, an easy mistake to make and a great one to learn from. Second question now that I'd like to ask you is, so now if you're talking to somebody that's just getting into a startup or a small business, what'd be the one piece of advice that you give them?
Ugh. I would say network your butt off. Join as many networking groups as you can and start talking to people that you want to learn from. I learned
Awesome.
so much. I learned so much from networking groups and like I was probably the youngest person in that Zoom call, but I learned so much from just listening, finding out what they need, what they're looking for. It helped me design what I wanted to offer just by listening. So, um, I really enjoyed being a part of some networking groups, and there's some networking groups I still absolutely love, and people that I really trust to go to when I have a problem. And so, not only is it great for networking, but it's also great for problem solving.
So Molly, that's a great rule of thumb, great takeaway, and a good piece of advice. So, well, now as we do wrap up, if people want to reach out to you, they want to be a customer, they want to be a client, they want to be an employee, they want to be an investor, they want to be your next best friend, any or all of the above. What's the best way to reach out to you, contact you, find out more?
You can find me on my website, thevirtuallife.com.
Awesome. Well, I definitely encourage people to reach out, support a great business, make or expand their network, and if nothing else, make a new best friend. So thank you again for coming on the podcast. It's been fun. It's been a pleasure. Now, for all of you, their listeners that are out there, if you have your own journey to share and you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, we'd love to have you. Just go to inventiveunicorn.com, apply to be on the show. Couple more things as listeners, make sure to click share, subscribe, leave us a review, helps us to reach even more startups and small businesses to help them along their journey to success. And along that note, if along your journey you ever need help with patents or trademarks or anything else with your startup, your small business, just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat. We're always here to help. Well, thank you again for coming on the podcast and wish the next leg of your journey even better than the last.
Thank you, Devin. Have a great day.
We'd plant, my friend. Dusty boots, but a heart of gold. Your story's waiting to be told. Inventive journey, here we go. Through highs and lows, we let it flow. The startups rise and small be shine. Your time is now, your stars align. bell ring and feel the beat. Hustle hard, don't take a seat. Every step you're blazing trail. Inventive journey never fails.